Of course, we're here for Slap News with John, the Machine Davis. He's been away for a little while, but we know he's working incredibly hard. He's on the recovery, and we know he's got big things coming up, so we want to catch up with John. Always a great talk, always a great ambassador for the sport. John here is representing the middleweight division, is a warrior true and true. We're going to get into it. We're going to keep the evolution. John has been a big fan and supporter of Slap News this entire time. So as always, it's an honor to have him here on the show. John, how you doing today, my man?
I'm doing great. It's an honor and a privilege to be back on with you, as always.
Absolutely, my man. You've been away for a minute. I know you've been recovering. Last time we seen you up there with Wesley Drain, I know you had a bit of a shoulder issue. How is that coming along?
Great. First and foremost, shout out to Power Slap for taking care of me. They went above and beyond to get me taken care of as far, I got a stem cell treatment on it. So, that was all on their dime and all on their decision and their doctor's discretion that I was able to, fit the qualifications to be able to try it out. So I got that a few months ago, probably 2 weeks ago now. I got cleared from physical therapy. So I'm slowly but surely, testing things out on my own since I'm able to do everything and all of it now, and just kind of, little tweaks here and there to get back to where I need to be and even better.
Awesome, man. Really, really cool. Stem cell research, something that I've kind of seen in and out. So I guess you got the injections. How was that entire process? Was it awkward and weird, or did it how did it feel doing it? And were you excited to be able to have that opportunity? Because I know a lot of people obviously can't afford that type of treatment.
Yes, it was kind of almost a manifestation that I had talked about before with people of ever getting injured, really being interested in testing out that process. Mm-hmm. I'll make fun of myself before anybody else will. The needle was very long, and even though I do have a very high pain tolerance, once it was inserted and the poor little doctor lady was injecting it, I passed out for a quick second there, and luckily she was able to hold me up. But other than that, it was a great process. She really went into details trying to explain it to me to the best of my abilities to understand it. But again, all props goes to Power Slap. They didn't have to give me a ride there. They got me hooked up with a ride. They had them open it up on a day that I believe they were closed, and I was pretty much the only one in there. So again, they went above and beyond for me than, further than anything and anyone I could have imagined.
Yeah. I mean, you weren't able to knock out Wesley Drain the last time we seen you there. I mean,
lucky bastard.
I think it's given some confidence, my man, to some of the other people in the division. I know you've been somebody that has been swirling being the champ. You're going to have a lot of people always putting your name in their mouth. We've seen Azael Rodriguez continue to take care of business, now 5-1, I do believe. We've seen him obviously take care of business with Amir to kind of cement himself as that number one contender. What did you see of Azael? Obviously, him, all the way back to a couple marches ago for the tryouts, was in the house with you. What have you seen from him as he's been able to refine his game and, keep on winning since last time?
All props to him. He's a dog for sure. There's a reason why he's El Perro. I'll give him all the credit where the credit is due. I will say, though, in that match that he went up against Amir, who was coaching him? That would have been this guy. In all seriousness, though, he deserves that number one spot, I'd say, out of everybody, especially with the performance that he had. And, whoever and whenever is next in line, I could assume would be him, but you never know how that's going to go once they start making the decisions.
Totally. How was it coaching somebody like that could potentially be your next opponent? Were you just focused at the job at hand and being a coach, or did it play into your mind whatsoever that, this guy could be the next opponent you face?
No, I went in the mentality with any middleweight that I was able to coach that, obviously I could be competing against any one of them in the future. But at that point in time, my job was to be a coach to make sure they go up there and get the job done, because not only, do I want to win as a competitor, but also as a coach, I wanted to go up there and have my guys win, along with me, and do anything and everything I can to help better them and the sport. So, there was all props to him in that one. And I was really really able to separate, not that there was any issues that I have with him anyway, but really able to separate the fact that he very well may be coming for my head next, but when he goes up there to do his thing. So that's, you know, I wouldn't want to take away from him going up there and competing just to be selfish in that time period to maybe better myself later on, because I don't think that's right.
100%, man. I definitely agree with you. Having that vantage point, being right there, what did you see in Azael? Did you see anything different from, you know, previously, maybe when you're either watching it on television or you didn't have that prime up close personal look at him?
You know, I pretty much saw everything else he's done before with everybody else. You know, he's knocked a few other people down and out. He's gone the distance with a few other people. So in my eyes, he's as capable as anybody else is going up there. You just, you know, wherever the chips fall, that's kind of how it goes.
Mm-hmm. You know, talking about the coaching, you know, as a whole, how was that entire experience? Was it something that you enjoyed through and through? Was it tougher than you thought? Like, give us a bit of insight into it.
It was definitely a lot more than I had imagined at first, because, you know, you don't really know what's going on. I give all the props to the first coaches, and especially Ryan Phillips, for him giving me a little bit of heads up on what was going on. But I was basically running around like a chicken with its head cut off, trying to figure out where I needed to be. You know, so the earlier ones kind of let me lead up to be prepared for the actual live event. So that was definitely a learning curveball and during the process. But I loved every minute of it. It was great. It was almost more anxiety packed than me competing myself, because I can't go up there and physically help anybody do anything. You know, I can say as much as I want or, you know, coach them to the best of my vocal abilities, but they're the ones that had to go up there and put on the show.
Of course, of course. You know, being part of International Fight Week, you know, we've seen you down there at UFC X. How was it being kind of in the front lines, being out there with the fans and the spectators, you know, of UFC? Yourself and Damien DeBell were down there. You know, how was it overall? How do you feel that, you know, yourself and DeBell was received, and were you excited to be able to meet the fans?
That part was definitely also a learning curve, but in between fights, I was able to go and talk to people in the crowd. You know, I tried to talk to the Bussin' with the Boys crew. I got to go shake Don Fry's hand. A few other folk, Steamroller Favela, I got to talk to him for a minute in between there. So it was cool to talk to everybody and thank the folks that come out and have repeatedly been there, at least while I was up on the stage, that for, you know, supporting us. So tried to see to make sure that Dana, Frank, and Hunter, if they were, you know, enjoying the show, because again, I could only do so much, but again, I want to help make the show as lively and as exciting as possible from the coaching aspect.
Awesome, my man. Let's bring it back to you a little bit. So you said that you just got you know, a clean bill of health. So have you kind of been off and sitting dormant since the last time we saw you fight with Wesley? Like, have you been on no activity whatsoever, or have you still been doing some cardiovascular, doing some different training?
Oh, I could never not do anything. You'd have to take all my limbs away from me for that to happen. But definitely able to keep the cardio up, doing runs and little stuff here and there, core work. But definitely was focused on the PT aspect of it, because I wanted to get, like you said, that clean bill of health and, you know, be able to come back 110% and really, really be able to buckle down in the time period I have left to be prepared for the future.
Yeah. You know, talking the future kind of coming up here. I don't know what you can and can't say, so just say whatever you can. But, you know, we're sitting probably about 6 weeks away from potentially a massive card coming up. Do you think you'd be ready for that? Are you kind of getting back? I know you said you started some, you know, some impact training a little bit. How is the shoulder feeling? And do you think 6 more weeks will have you primed and ready?
Allegedly, I'll be down there. I can tell you that much. As much as I want to give details that I may or may not have, I can say that no matter what, no, you know, even if it was from a coaching aspect, I'm going to be down there for that one. And as much as I would like to say, I would really prefer to defend my title finally, because I'm tired of, I got to watch the third as a coach and I got to watch the fourth event from home. I think the fourth event was even a little bit more stressful for me, because at least when I was coaching, if someone had something to say, they obviously, I could address that on point. Sitting at home, I can't do a gosh dang thing about anything anyone says or is about to say. So that was probably a little bit harder than not being down there. But, me personally, I would love to be back and down there and competing again on the 25th.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm sure you heard the rumors just as I have and stuff like that, but isn't that event pegging up to be the biggest one in Power Slap history? How excited are you from the rumors that you hear circling?
Yes. And I can say that Frank did say all the title fights needed matches. So that does include myself. But, I think this one is very well going to surpass the numbers of the first one, because I think by far it's done the best, at least from what I've looked at. I'm not too sure statistic wise. But, even the big numbers that we have everywhere, I feel like this event is going to be the biggest. They've really narrowed it down to some of the higher end competitors that they want on the card. And I'm sure they're, as Dana has said, they're getting people from other countries to come up. And, the crop of people is growing. It used to be, maybe a 10 by 10 square garden for them to pick from. And now they've got the globe sized field of people who are coming out and really wanting to get into this.
Absolutely. I mean, last time we spoke to Dana at the post-fight press conference at number 4, him and Frank confirmed they have over 100 strikers under contract right now. So we're seeing, definitely the roster continue to expand. We're seeing that the depth of the classes continue to expand, and we're seeing them, release some of the fighters that, may not be ranked in that top 10. It's definitely, something that they've been working on extremely hard to make sure that each division has a solid top 10 contender core, obviously to go along with the champions. But in saying that, the level of competition is going to continue to rise. We're seeing guys, such as Nate Bernard, Division 1 or Division 2 football players coming in. We're seeing, Kalani, who was, an NFL player, come into Power Slap and have an explosive slap against Cody Vallow. We're seeing the level of athlete that kind of coming into the sport with event after event continuing to rise. Are you, John the Machine Davis, ready to step up to the challenge of all these new guys coming into the sport that are gunning for you?
I'd say your question needs to be all these guys who are athletes, are they ready to step up to my level? Because I've been an athlete since the beginning of this thing, especially once I got down to middleweight. So the fact that, well, some of us who are athletes may or may not have been slept on a little bit, I won't take any disrespect from. But for the guys who, just because you may have played D1 ball or you almost had a contract here or you've been to the NFL, that's great. And I mean, it's great for us. And by all means, I love the fact that people who are coming from a very, very serious competitive background are coming in, but also don't sleep on the ones who are here that are already athletes. There's plenty of us who've been out here busting our ass from day one, who gave all of these athletes a platform to even be able to come out here. Because if not, they'd still be sitting at whatever job they have, watching whatever videos on their phone, hanging out.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you, man. Experience in this sport definitely plays a lot. Everyone says that you have a game plan until you get rocked. And, in this sport, you're definitely getting rocked. So, having the experience going into those championship rounds, definitely bodes well for you to be able to weather that storm and, keep on continuing through. Anything else, man? Are you changing up your training style whatsoever? You incorporate anything else? I know you're not too far from Ryan Phillips. Do you guys still jam on a regular basis? Do you guys ever get together to be able to train? You guys are both kind of rehabbing in the same element. You guys trying to plan your grand entry back into Power Slap? Is there anything the two of you are working on?
We definitely chatting all the time. I'm kind of busy at home. My wife's in the midst of almost having a baby at any point in time. So it's kind of hard to travel too far from home at the moment. As much as she would tell me to go do it anyhow, I'd like to be as close as I can. But as for the training, Right now, it's more so just making sure that I'm comfortable with myself. It's not like I need a particular game plan to go up against anybody. I just want to make sure that I'm confident with not just my right arm, but with my left, because obviously in the case of that fight against Wesley, when it was my left hand, it did not go how I wanted it to. So I don't want to have that option not be there either, even though I know a lot of guys have even said that there's no way they could have even gone up there and swung with the left hand because they wouldn't have even landed in the general area of where they needed to. So, you know, as good as it was that I was able to throw clean with it, I need to be able to throw better with it, and even more so with my right again. That's more so my focus, is that I'm comfortable with myself and how I'm feeling going up there at this point.
Gotcha, my man. I know you got some exciting news. You have a brand new sponsor that has come on board to support you. Give a shout out to these guys.
Absolutely. Shout out to the Boot Life. I have the hat on right here, if you can see that. They hooked me up with some great, work boots, some nice stuff that I'll be able to wear when I come down there for press conference. And, they even did me a solid. My oldest two were able to come with me. We went out to lunch and had a very enjoyable day for, what was work, but the kids were also able to have a good time and help their old man get the job done during the day. So, shout out to them, the whole family that was there, and to the Boot Life for giving me the opportunity. They're in my corner 110% as much as I'm in theirs.
Awesome, my man. I'm going to ask you one last question. If anybody in the middleweight division is watching this and listening to this interview, what do you want to say to them?
For anybody in the middleweight division watching and listening, more power to you. I really hope that, especially if you are the newer guys and you are, these athletes that they're talking about coming in, I hope you're prepared for this, because like you said, there's always a plan until you get hit in the mouth and you get rocked. And that's what our game is about. Every single person who's been riding my coattails, talking smack while I'm injured, every single person who's been respectful about how things have gone and wished me well. I love all of you the same, because you motivate me in one way or another. And bring it on. There's, and it's not just the middleweights, it's everybody else that seems to, want to call for a belt that they have no right to talk about. But at the end of the day, I'm the champ. There's a reason why I was the champ. I may not have been the champ that they wanted. I was the champ that they needed. So y'all can remember that, because none of you will ever be the first middleweight champ of Power Slap. I will. My name will be in the record books until I'm gone.
Awesome, buddy. I appreciate you as always, my man. Look forward to seeing you there very soon, obviously down in Las Vegas for Power Slap number 5, however you are, but you're always welcome back to the show. I know there's gonna be some big announcements coming real soon. Take care, man. Hope you stay well, and keep in touch.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you.